Did you know there's a psychological phrase so powerful and devastating that when spoken to a man who has rejected, ignored, or given you so little attention, it can literally keep him up at night, obsessing over you? There's a precise combination of words that directly targets the most vulnerable point in the male psyche, causing him to question every decision he's made, completely rethink how he's treated you, and experience a desperate need to be with you again, begging for a new relationship. Chance. And what's most shocking is that this phrase works not through simple manipulation or childish psychological games, but because it reveals a truth he's spent his life hiding. I am John M. Gottman, a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and writer. For decades, I have studied human emotions, emotional intelligence, and the mysteries of the mind. Today, I want to share with you what I've learned from my clinical practice, my research, and my interactions with thousands of patients and readers. Currently, millions of women around the world are pleading for attention from men who don't value them, begging for crumbs of affection, sacrificing their dignity in desperate attempts to make them understand how exceptional they are. Meanwhile, the men who should be fighting for them calmly continue their lives without the slightest sense of urgency because these women have made the fatal mistake of being emotionally available at any cost. I'm speaking directly to you, woman, who is tired of being an option and not a priority. You, who gave too many chances, waited too long, accepted less than you deserved for far too long. You, who became the confidant of a man who doesn't even give you the basics of a relationship. You, who are always there when he needs you, but disappear when you need him. You, who feel like you're making a fool of yourself, humiliating yourself, losing your dignity, but you can't stop because you cling to the hope that one day he'll wake up and realize your worth. And I'm going to be frank with you from the start. As long as you remain available, as long as you're content with the crumbs he throws you, as long as you remain predictable and accessible, he will never value you. Never. Not because you aren't extraordinary, not because you don't deserve it, but because fundamental human psychology dictates that we don't value what is easy, what is always within reach, what presents no challenge or risk of loss. What I've observed for decades, and you've probably noticed it too, is men's obsession with women who have character, who aren't always available, who have their own lives and don't revolve around them. This isn't a coincidence. It's not because these women are more beautiful or more interesting. It's because they understand a fundamental psychological principle. Perceived value is directly proportional to perceived scarcity. To always be present, always available, always ready to wait is to become abundant. However, abundance is not valued in the same way as scarcity. Thus, the phrase I am about to reveal to you is not magic in the supernatural sense of the word, but magic in the psychological sense. This works because it completely reverses the power dynamics. It transforms you from pursuer to challenger, from dependent to selective, from available to scarce. And when you effect this genuine reversal, not as a performance, but as a true shift in your self-perception and self-esteem, something extraordinary happens. The man who ignored you suddenly can't stop thinking about you. But before revealing the exact phrase, it's essential to understand the underlying psychology. Simply reciting words without understanding or internalizing the mindset won't work. He'll sense it's a trap, a manipulation, a game. And men are extremely susceptible to emotional manipulation and react with even more detachment when they feel manipulated. In the next few minutes, I'm going to explain the deep-seated psychological mechanisms that explain men's sometimes frustrating behavior. Then, I'll show you precisely the mindset you need to cultivate so that this phrase has a devastating effect. Finally, I'll reveal the exact phrase, when to say it, how to say it, and what to do next. And if you apply this correctly, I guarantee he'll come looking for you. perhaps not crying, but emotionally devastated, questioning everything, desperate to be with you again. The truth that shatters the romantic illusion. Now listen carefully, because what I'm about to reveal completely destroys the romantic illusion you've been taught since childhood. Men don't fall in love with the most beautiful, intelligent, or brilliant woman. They fall in love with the woman who makes them feel things no other woman ever has. And do you know what the most addictive, obsessive, and powerful feeling a man can have for a woman is? It's not physical attraction, nor intellectual admiration. It's the fear of losing her. When a man senses he's losing you, when he realizes you can truly rebuild your life and be happy without him, when he understands you're no longer a given, something primal and powerful awakens within him. Suddenly you become his sole obsession. Suddenly all other women seem insignificant compared to you. Suddenly he feels an overwhelming need to reclaim what he foolishly let slip away. And the phrase I'm about to teach you is specifically designed to detonate that psychological bomb inside him. But you must be prepared. Once this phrase is spoken and put into practice, there's no going back. You can't utter those powerful words. And then, 3 days later, since he hasn't replied immediately, you send him a message to see if he's okay. If you do that, you destroy any power of manipulation and confirm that you were bluffing, that you're still trapped, that he still has you under his control. And then the dynamic falls back into its initial destructive state. If you truly want to change the way he sees you, the way he treats you, if you finally want to be a priority and not an option, if you want him to miss you with an intensity he never thought possible, you must be prepared to truly move on, if necessary. Because this phrase only works if you truly mean it. If it is just a manipulation tactic, you remain hopelessly attached. He'll sense the incongruity, and it won't work. Subscribe to this channel now, because what you'll learn goes far beyond simply attracting a particular man's attention. You'll learn how to never again accept less than you deserve, how to become the kind of woman that men of value are vying for, how to build relationships based on genuine mutual respect, not a toxic chase and flight dynamic, the psychology of men that no one has told you about. Let's start by debunking some myths about men that you've been taught and that are jeopardizing your chances of being liked. Myth number 1, men want a woman who's easy, available, and has no problems. False. Men are looking for a woman who's easy for casual sex, but for a serious relationship, a real emotional investment, and true love. They're looking for a woman who presents a challenge, who has high standards, who isn't for just anyone. Consider how men behave in every other aspect of life. They value the car they had to work hard to acquire, not the one they bought effortlessly. They're proud of the promotion they fought for, not the one they received undeservedly. They respect the football team that won the championship through sheer hard work, not the one that won by default. Why should it be any different in human relationships? Evolution has programmed them to value what they have had to achieve through struggle, not out of superficiality, but because the effort invested creates perceived value. When you are always available, when you accept any treatment, when you offer no resistance to the challenge, you are actually telling your primitive brain, I have little market value, nobody wants me anymore, so you can treat me however you want because I'm not going anywhere. And before you protest that this is unfair, that he should appreciate you for the wonderful person you are, whether you're difficult or not, let me be clear. Yes, ideally, humans would be completely rational and value people based on their objective merits, but we are not. We are complex animals equipped with emotional software shaped by millions of years of evolution. This software reacts to specific value signals. You therefore have two options. Either you are outraged by the reality of human psychology and stubbornly cling to the hope that people will eventually change their fundamental nature, or you accept this reality and use it strategically. I strongly recommend the second option. Yes, according to legend, men distance themselves because you've done or said something wrong. You're not pretty enough, not interesting enough. In the vast majority of cases, this is false. Men distance themselves because you've become predictable and there's no longer any risk of losing you. You've already proven that no matter what he does, you'll always be there. So why would he invest more time? Think of a mobile app you use frequently. When was the last time you took the time to appreciate how great it is? Probably never, since it's always there, always available. But if that app suddenly announced it was shutting down in a week, you'd have an irresistible urge to use it, to enjoy its features while you still can, even if it's just the beginning. Third myth. Showing him how much you appreciate him will make him appreciate you more. False. Excessive interest often has the opposite effect, because when you show that you are totally invested while he is only exploring possibilities, you create a power imbalance that puts him in a position to choose, not to conquer. Men want to feel they've accomplished something exceptional, not that something special has simply fallen into their laps without any effort. When you offer them your interest, your availability, your affection, without them having done anything remarkable to deserve it, you deprive them of the pleasure of the pursuit. And it's precisely in this process that a true emotional attachment is forged. Think of it like a video game. If you started directly at the final level, with all the powers, without having played any levels, without having overcome any challenges, would the game be exciting? No, it would be discouraging. The appeal lies in the progression, in the challenge, in gradual success. Relationships work the same way for men. 3 devastating truths. Here then is the first devastating truth you must accept. The more you chase him, the further he moves away. The more available you are, the less he appreciates you. The more you express your need for him, the less he feels the need for you. This is the fundamental predator-prey dynamic. When you chase, you activate the flight instinct. When you retreat, you activate the hunting instinct. And here's the second truth. He's not acting out of intentional malice. He probably doesn't even realize it. It's an automatic, unconscious reaction rooted in evolutionary psychology. He genuinely doesn't understand why he's lost interest. He simply knows that somehow you no longer attract him. It's not because you've changed, it's because the dynamics of the relationship have shifted from challenge to certainty. And here's the third truth. This one's going to hurt, but you need to hear it. While you're obsessing over him, analyzing every interaction, waiting for his messages, planning his next moves, he's barely thinking about you. You're a convenient option he keeps on hand for when he's bored or needs attention, but you're not his emotional priority. The more you accept this position, the more entrenched it becomes. But here's the good news. All of this can change radically and quickly when you stop chasing someone, when you become truly unavailable, when you show through your actions that you've moved on or are seriously considering it. Every scenario can be reversed. Overnight, he's the one obsessed. Overnight, you're the one too busy to respond. Overnight, the dynamic completely reverses. The fatal mistake you're making. Now, let's pinpoint the exact mistake that's keeping you trapped in this destructive dynamic. And that mistake isn't loving him. It isn't wanting to be with him. The mistake is showing that you'd rather be with him than preserve your own peace and dignity. The mistake is proving through repeated actions that you're willing to accept any treatment, because being with him, even in a degraded state, is more important than your own well-being. Every time you settle for a monosyllabic reply after sending a long, loving message, you demonstrate your lack of standards. Every time you make yourself available when he finally deigns to show up, you prove to him that your life revolves around him. Every time you take him back after he disappears without explanation or apology, you teach him that he can mistreat you with impunity. And men, consciously or unconsciously, are constantly testing women. They're testing your limits. They're testing how far you're willing to lower your standards. They're testing how much effort they really have to make to keep you. And every time you pass their test by accepting substandard treatment, you fail your own test of self-respect. The tragic irony. And here's what's tragically ironic. You're probably acting this way because you've been taught that love is sacrifice, patience, accepting the other person as they are, unconditional presence. Certainly, mature love includes these elements, but what you're doing isn't mature love. It's emotional dependency disguised as love. It's the fear of abandonment disguised as devotion. It's a lack of self-confidence masked by generosity. Healthy love has limits. Healthy love has principles. Healthy love says, I love you, but I love myself more, and I will not accept any treatment that violates my dignity. But what you're doing is self-abandonment. You're doing it in the name of maintaining a connection with someone who, quite clearly, isn't investing the same amount of time and energy. And do you know the inevitable outcome of this pattern? Not only does he continue to mistreat you, but you start to hate yourself. You know you're demeaning yourself. You're ashamed every time you accept crumbs. You feel pathetic when you check your phone for the 100th time today, waiting for a message from him. And this self becomes toxic, further eroding your self-esteem, pushing you to cling to it even more desperately because you now sincerely believe you don't deserve better. It's a vicious and destructive cycle that only ends in two ways. Either you hit rock bottom, where the pain of continuing eventually overcomes the fear of letting go, or you consciously decide to break this pattern before reaching that point of no return. I propose the second option, the mindset to cultivate even before uttering this phrase. Before revealing the exact words, let's lay the necessary mental groundwork, because, as I said, without the right mindset, this phrase is nothing but a trick doomed to failure. So here's what you must sincerely believe and embody. First, you need to be truly at peace with him and not go back to him. Not to pretend everything's fine when deep down you've lost all hope, but to sincerely accept that if he doesn't value you enough to change his behavior, you're better off without him. Because the truth is, you're better off alone and at peace than in a relationship where you constantly feel worthless. To get to that point, you really have to work on yourself. You have to rediscover yourself, reconnect with yourself beyond this relationship. You have to reconnect with your friends and hobbies, neglected because you were so obsessed with him. You have to start building a fulfilling life with or without him. And when that life is truly there, when you truly feel good on your own, he'll sense it, and it will be irresistibly attractive. Secondly, you need to regain your self-confidence. You need to stop seeing yourself through the lens of his desire and start seeing yourself through the lens of your own worth. You are amazing. You possess qualities that any sensible person would be happy to have. If he's too stupid to see that, the problem lies with him, not you. Here's a practical exercise. Make a list of 10 truly exceptional qualities about yourself. Not modest qualities, but qualities you know to be true and valuable. Loyalty, compassion, intelligence, humor, hard work, creativity. List them. Then, reread this list every day, keeping in mind that anyone who has access to you receives a gift, not a favor. Third, you must be prepared to lose him in order to potentially get the version of him that respects you, or to make room for someone better. Because as long as you cling desperately, you can't act with confidence. You must let go of the idea that this relationship can work and be open to any outcome that preserves your dignity. This isn't about playing games or manipulating. It's about having emotional integrity that says, I want to be with you, but only if it's with mutual respect and shared effort. If you can't offer that, I have to love myself enough to leave. And when you truly mean it, when it's not a bluff, it's felt viscerally, and it changes everything. Fourth, you are setting a standard for the rest of your life. You must understand that you are defining how you want to be treated for the rest of your life, not just by him, but by everyone. Because if you accept poor treatment now, you are conditioning yourself to accept it indefinitely. But if you set clear boundaries now, if you show that you won't tolerate disrespect, you're laying the foundation for a healthy relationship in the future. So it's not just about him, but also about your own ability to become a woman who accepts nothing less than what she deserves. It's about reclaiming the personal power you've let slip away. It's about becoming more selective, more demanding, and preferring solitude to bad company. Fifth, genuine emotional detachment. You must practice true emotional detachment, not cold indifference, but a healthy detachment where you care about the person without being attached to the outcome. You can love LW and be ready to leave L if he's not good for you. These two things are not mutually exclusive. In fact, the capacity to love and to let go is a mark of true emotional maturity. The phrase that changes everything. Now finally, having laid the solid foundations for a proper psychological understanding and mindset, I will reveal this phrase to you. Its simplicity may surprise you, for it is not a long, dramatic declaration, nor an elaborate ultimatum, but a short, calm, and dignified affirmation, yet one of great depth. And the sentence is, I've realized I deserve someone who chooses me without hesitation, which is clearly not the case with you. I wish you all the best. That's it. 12 simple words. But allow me a digression, because each word is carefully chosen, and that's precisely why this sentence is so devastatingly effective when spoken correctly. Why does every word matter? I understood that it communicates an awareness, an evolution, the fact that he is no longer that desperate person. It suggests an inner transformation, which is intriguing, even slightly threatening for him. That I deserve it is a crucial phrase. You are asserting your worth. You are not begging for his recognition. You claim to know your worth, with or without their approval. Someone chooses you. You don't ask them to choose you. You set your own boundaries. And notice that you say someone, not you. This implies that other options exist and that you are not bound to them. Without hesitation, this exposes his behavior. He hesitated, he was ambiguous, and you say that's not enough. You don't want lukewarm love, you want an enthusiastic choice. And clearly, you're not being unbearable. You're not asking him to be different. You're simply observing reality and accepting it. You're making the choice. You're not waiting for him to make it for you. I wish you all the best. This shows great maturity. You're neither bitter nor vindictive. You're leaving with grace. That's extremely commendable. Because it's so rare to say it like that, and the timing and manner of saying it are just as important as the words themselves. You don't say it in the middle of an argument. You don't say this after a night of tears and arguments. You say it calmly, preferably by text message, so he can think about it without you seeing his immediate reaction at a time when you're truly at peace with the decision. And here's the crucial point. After saying it, disappear completely. You don't check if he's seen the message. You don't wait for a reply. You don't send follow-up messages. You turn off his notifications, and you resume your life as if he no longer existed. The goal isn't to make him regret your absence, but to begin the true process of your liberation. And here's what will happen. In most cases, there might not be a response at first. He might think you're bluffing, that you'll come back in a few days like usual. But the days go by and you don't. He sees you posting photos, going out with friends, looking happy. He then realizes you've truly moved on, and panic sets in. Suddenly, you become interesting again. Suddenly, he wonders if he made a mistake. Suddenly, he no longer sees you as a sure thing, but as someone he could actually lose. This triggers all the psychological mechanisms: fear of loss aversion, regret, the value placed on scarcity, the competitive instinct. Imagine it. Imagine yourself with someone else. Then comes the message, perhaps seemingly innocuous at first, a test of the waters. Hi, how are you? You don't reply immediately. Hours later, maybe a day later, a polite but brief response. I'm fine, thanks. Nothing more. You don't elaborate. You don't ask how they are. You don't open the door to conversation. He tries again, this time with more effort. Mister.